Now, we are constantly challenged by atheists, skeptics, agnostics, and hecklers to prove there is a God. Fortunately, we don't have to prove it. The Bible says in Psalm 14, verse 1, "The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God." Any man may argue about the existence of God with his head, but the trouble is heart trouble. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. It is very difficult for the natural man to believe in something that he cannot see, touch, or feel. So in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14, we are told the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them, for they are spiritually discerned. However, anyone with any intelligence can acknowledge the evident fact of a living God. Christ says in John 7:17, "If any man will do his will, God's will, he shall know of the doctrine," whether Christ said he spoke of himself or whether he spoke of the Father. That is, the skeptic's trouble is heart trouble. It has to do with a bad life and an immoral attitude. Now, it's true you have moral atheists and moral skeptics and moral sinners who do good because they found it pays to do good. Or they do good because they can't do evil and get away with it. Or they do good to soothe their conscience. Or they do good to brag about their self-righteousness before their fellow man. We do have moral sinners, moral atheists, and moral skeptics. The only difference between them and the immoral sinner is the difference between a brand new garbage can and an old one. They both have the same content. They have a joke about the dial-a-prayer service for atheists. The atheists have a dial-a-prayer service where you dial a number and nobody answers. They also have one about an atheist who was lying in the coffin. One of his buddies came by and looked at him and said, "Poor old Bill, there he is all dressed up and nowhere to go." Being an atheist takes a great deal of faith. As a matter of fact, it takes a great deal more faith to be an atheist than a deist or a theist, a believer in God. To be an atheist, a person has to deny a first cause. And to deny this, you just about have to deny your rational powers. Anybody who knows about the laws of thermodynamics, and in particular the second law, the law of entropy, knows that if the universe had been here more than 4 billion years, it would have run down and wasted out and burned out by now. How much more if it had been here forever without a first cause? If the universe had been here for, say, more than 100 billion years, it would have burnt out at least 50 billion years ago by the law of breakdown. The magnetic field around the Earth is decreasing at such a rate it couldn't have been here more than 10,000 years at a maximum, and so forth and so on. To be an atheist takes a great deal of faith. If a man wants to exhibit his ignorance, that's his business. If you want to display your stupidity, you're free to do it. However, you're not free to demand a respectful hearing from those of us who have some sense. In other words, in America, we need to distinguish between liberty and license. Now, we'll grant any man has a liberty to be an atheist if he wants to be. If you want to go to hell, that's your business. And if you don't want us interfering with your business, turn off the radio. That's your liberty. You can turn the knob to the right or the left. That's your business. But don't expect those of us who have some sense to listen to the claptrap put out by Rousseau and Voltaire and Celsus and Porphyry and Tom Paine and Bob Ingersoll. We have better sense. The Bible begins with God. And although the Bible is not a textbook that attempts to prove the existence of God, the Bible opens with a positive fact that God does exist.